What's up, guys? Ryan here, another Think, Learn, and Be Vulnerable vlog. And today I'm going to talk about why I sleep with the TV on. The short answer is that I have a lot of thoughts that run through my brain. And if there's not something on to distract my brain, I'll just keep thinking about stuff. And it will keep me up all night. But if I have one singular thing to focus on, then it almost has a hypnotic effect, and it allows my brain to just sort of only pay attention to that one thing and slowly but surely fall asleep. Now, I do fall asleep relatively fast, and I can fall asleep without it, but it's very, very difficult to do so without it. To the point to where, if I'm at festivals, or if I'm traveling or whatever, any reason wherever I sleep, like, I need to have an outlet. I need to plug in my phone, and at least put my headphones in and sleep that way. And sometimes, very often I'll wake up in the middle of the night and then have to repeat the process, because otherwise I'll just keep staying up. And it's crazy because I can think about one thing and think about something else, and then it just keeps going. And I don't really have a solution for it. So if you're traveling with me and you're staying in the same room as me, one, there's a previous vlog about snoring and stuff, so I apologize for that. But two, I apologize if there's noise coming from the headphones. It has to be there. My brain doesn't shut off. And I thought I was alone in this, but it turns out it's a fairly common thing. And just kind of the nature of the way some people's brains work. Some people have very active brains, and some people have very not so active brains. And it's not like I'm even necessarily worrying about a lot of things. Oftentimes that's what it is. But sometimes, it's just one thought leads to another thought. I remember there was one night where I turned the TV off and laid my head down, and I started thinking about Darth Vader, and then I started thinking about Palpatine, and I started thinking about Luke, and then I started thinking about familial bloodlines and how that's kind of a thing in a lot of different works of fiction, works of fantasy. And then I started thinking about King Arthur, which made me think about Excalibur, which made me think about Excalibur, the hotel in Las Vegas, which made me think about good times and going to Las Vegas. But the problem is we have COVID, so I can't go to Las Vegas. And it made me realize how much I miss Las Vegas. And it made me realize how much I miss, like, gambling without thinking about stuff. And made me miss having, the amount of disposable income where it would be no big deal to think about that and lose that kind of money. And then it made me realize, like, hey, a lot of people out there have it worse than you and can't even afford to go to Las Vegas. But then it also made me think about, like, a desert and sort of like a lack of stuff. And that made me think about water supply, which made me think about Flint, Michigan, which made me think about again, people have it worse than me. And which made me think about how America has a real problem with sort of being a hero, but not being a caregiver, in a sense that we'll stop the murderer as it's happening, but we won't do anything to prevent murders from happening. We will, we'll pay off the person affected by bad water, but we'll do nothing to affect the water. We'll lock up people when we should be educating those people early on. We'll police bad neighborhoods instead of trying to actually fix the bad neighborhoods, instituting social programs and stuff like that. And Yeah, I think that's something that's sort of wrapped up in the American consciousness. And then I would think about America, and I'd think about the flag and think about what that represents, and think about how Trump likes to sexually assault our flag, which is kind of messed up. Um, you know, on and on and on and on and on. And these are just associations that I had no like guidance for. I wasn't like trying to think of these things. They just, you know. And then Trump made me think about oranges and how much I like oranges, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And this is the way the brain works, or at least my brain works. And so I think learning to be vulnerable. I think the main thing for myself is being a little more conscious of my thoughts and focusing a little bit more instead of just kind of letting them fly off the handle. I think learning to think a little more positively in that sense is probably a good idea. But in terms, I think the main thing in vulnerability is like being more comfortable with my own thoughts and not having that sort of simultaneous like, here are the thoughts that I'm having and I'm terrible for having these thoughts. Like just giving myself a break and saying, you know what, these are thoughts that I'm having and it's okay. And it's more important on how I act about them and sort of what they reveal about me, as opposed to me actually having them and that being a bad thing. You know, I need to be more okay, more okay with saying thoughts are thoughts. You know, they only have the amount of weight that just thoughts would have. Instead of being like, oh my God, I'm a terrible person for having some of these thoughts. Like, nah, it's okay. They're just thoughts. I shouldn't necessarily put that much, you know, credence to them. And being okay with silence, being okay with just breathing, relaxing. Maybe I need to do more yoga. I don't know. Shut the brain off for a little while. Probably be a good idea. Anyway, guys, thanks again. I'll see y'all later.